white flowers, and it will flower most of the summer, but I wanted to look at this one because right here at the top of the plant is a really nice monarch caterpillar.
And this is a milkweed species, Asclepias incarnata, the white swamp milkweed, which is a perennial here. It's also a double duty plant, blooms white in the summer, which is great for the butterflies and hummingbirds. And it's a host plant all season because of the foliage. And as you can see, the caterpillars are having a good time.
Right, there are 3 or 4 caterpillars just on this plant right here that we can see. And then behind it we have catmint.
Walker's Low catmint.
Low.
And that's going to bloom. If you keep it cut back, it'll rebloom several times throughout the summer. It's great for the hummingbirds. It also adds a nice smell if you're kind of into herby smells. And the butterflies like it, smaller butterflies, red admirals, painted ladies, they can utilize this better than some of your larger butterflies can.
Right. Okay, and then one more quick plant over here is this black and blue salvia, which is one of my favorite perennials, kind of annual perennial in this climate, depending on how hard a winter we have. But this plant's blooming now in May, and it will still be blooming when we have the last freeze of the year.
It will, and it'll get larger. It's a good perennial if you have a good amount of space, because the plants can spread out decently, but they bloom, like he said, from May, even April, up until the first hard freeze in November, usually October, November, whenever it comes along. Great for the hummingbirds, very easy care perennial, drought tolerant. It'll bloom through the summer even when it's hot and dry. So that's probably one of my favorite ones for the hummingbirds.
And I know a lot of times people typically think that hummingbirds are only attracted to red, but that's not necessarily true. Like you said, this is a great hummingbird attractor. In most of my gardens or clients' gardens, we see hummingbirds on this purple just as much as we do on the red salvia and other things. It's more about that tubular flower that they can get their beak into. Right.
It's the flower shape more than anything. Hummingbirds can only use certain types of flowers because of the way their beak is made. So the tubular flowers are always going to be attracted to hummingbirds, whether they're red, pink, white, orange. It's just the flower shape more than the color of the flower. As opposed to the butterflies, flower color is a little bit more important because they see ultraviolet light, which we don't see. So your reds, pinks, purples, and oranges, more your hot colors, are going to be more attractive to butterflies. Whites are good, but you don't want to use as many whites because they don't see that as well.
Okay, so I'm thinking that it's probably better for the hummingbirds if you have these plants in your garden, maybe rather than the hummingbird feeders that everybody has hanging out. Any thoughts on that?
In my opinion, it is, because most of the time people put the feeders out there and they don't maintain them correctly. And with the sugar water and everything,